Good morning, everyone. I'm at my son's house this time. And I better get going here. I had 2 days where I was a bit out of it. As you can tell, I'm still working on this cold. Oh, did I have a nasty one. But, again, the one thing I'm always the most worried when I have a cold or get a cold is my cough, okay? Which can get really bad. And again, this time, thank God, thank you, Spirit World. And I guess, okay, I take good care of myself when I'm sick. It's just a regular cough, and it didn't go where it could have gone, and yes, so. And also, I didn't really have any of my antibiotics here. I think some of my children have the avocado seed, so I could have found it, right? Yes. But thank God it didn't go that way, and I'm just recuperating here on my son's couch. That's where the TV is, too. And here is Hank. Hi. I want to see Hank. Here's Hank. Say hi, Hank. Yeah, hi, you. A three-legged boy that we have in our family. And my son finally found a vet. I think I mentioned that before. That was able to figure out what was wrong with him and his skin and everything. And now he has, people see him that haven't seen Hank in a while go, oh, he's got hair on his tail, right? Yes, huh? Yes, he's on medication now. But hey, one can tell he feels so much better, and yes, so amazing when that happens. We finally say, yeah, what's wrong? I can't tell you, right? Yeah, good vet out there, great. Finally took care of that, huh? Sorry. Anyway, let's get going. Had a wonderful Christmas time. Yeah, just getting a cold. It's not a big deal. There. Okay, now let's see here. We are in the second book of Kings. Oh, there is something I want to talk about. In 7. We're in 7. So I just saw, and I've seen, it seems to come up here and there with religious groups, things, and faiths, So people have, and I've talked about that before, why are you putting God within 4 walls? Okay, whatever, it's a good way to congregate, right, during all kinds of weather. Though, I don't see why anybody would go out there in a snowstorm to go to church, or, in a rainstorm, then you stay home. Why would you put yourself, okay, all right, I'm just saying. But, right, God's not just to be found in a church, okay, or wherever you got your buildings, a mosque, or this, okay, all right? Come on now. And so, I've seen things where people were all outraged because some places were sold that were part of the congregation and their faith. Well, if it's being sold, that tells me nobody wanted to take care of it, or the financial responsibility of whoever was taking care of the building, living in the building. Okay, all right, you hear what I'm saying? All right. So the one thing, well, this isn't being used anymore, it's just using up money. Well, let's just sell it to someone who'll do more with it. What's wrong with that? I can't see anything wrong with that. So I just saw in Europe, okay, since I'm a European, from Switzerland, I've been to Germany, Austria, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, okay, not so much the northern countries. Belgium, I've been to Belgium. Let's see, where else have I gone? All right. Okay, and yes, the churches there are so numerous. Okay, there's so many of them. And yeah, so some of them, I guess, are kind of not used anymore, right? Also, there seems to be a especially in Europe, you have a lot of Catholicism going on. So you need priests everywhere, right? Yes, to have a church going. So there seems to be, if there's anything going on, a shortage of priests, which again, if you feel you're called to give God's word, why do you have to have a degree for that? I'm just saying. Anywho, oh, and churches are being made into some weird things, I'm going, ugh, dear me, what does it matter? if, the, if the buildings are being sold to someone, I guess they get to do whatever they want with it, as long as they stay legal with whatever they're doing there. And so there's a few, okay? There's also a few that are made into homes, and that's not just in Europe. I think that's all over the world. It happens here in the U.S. as well. So, okay, so a church becomes a home. Well, my home is a church. Should be. I feel it is. God's always there. If that's what people need, is to call a building a church so that God can be present. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, so the next thing, though, from that, it wasn't just, oh, look, they made these buildings into these churches into this or that, right? Yes, one of them was a skateboard park, or like an indoor skateboard, and it didn't look all that interesting. It looked like it just had a couple of them things in it, so okay, how interesting is that? Okay, all right, I'm just saying. I thought that was kind of cool. It was really cool painted, too. Well, anyway, so there's a few of those. So they're pulling these few out, okay? And then, yeah, in Europe, religion is really plummeted. Christianity is no more or something going, what? You people are just... What? So faith is based on the amount of churches that are still there, which is still a gazillion of them, and on a few buildings that were converted into something different. Okay, I'm sorry. That's it. Yeah. Oh, wow. One could go on and on. This is more of a joke than the truth. Okay. Well, anyway, so I thought I had to mention that. When people come across these kind of things, I didn't go and look it up, though, because I would have taken some time to actually find the numbers and all, to see, okay, the converted buildings, churches, to the amount of churches that are still there in operation, if you want to call it that, okay? Well, anyway, I would say that's way more than. Also, I found that people are finding that, okay, again, if the priests and the pastors and the reverends, right, are not willing to just dig a little deeper in their studies or in the way that they want to give God's word, and okay, want to stick just with certain things, just like reading the Bible, want to stick with certain things and not acknowledge, okay, something went really wrong here. So what is it? Let's address that, right? If they're not willing to do that, and people getting a little smarter or something, going, that's a bunch of BS. Don't tell me that crap. Right? I want the truth. I want the truth. It's not even, I don't even care about it. People want the truth. Then give them the truth. A lot of people are finding to God, their original nature, their original mind, their heart to mind, their conscience. A lot of people are finding to that in these days in different ways, in also good ways, in their way to try to connect to God's heart. Yes? It's not a building, it's not in a church, often. Yes? Okay, I'm just saying. So, to go and put that kind of boo-hoo out there. People always have their own agendas. I know how it works. Nothing to do with God. Again. All right. Okay. So, Second Book of Kings 7. Listen to the word of Yahweh. It just continues on here. Oh, yeah. Oh, the last sentence we had here. Elisha foretells imminent relief. He was still actually speaking when the king arrived and said, "This misery plainly comes from Yahweh. Why should I still trust in Yahweh?" Okay, now 7 starts. "Listen to the word of Yahweh," Elisha said. Yahweh says this, "By this time tomorrow, a measure of finest flour will sell for 1 shekel, and 2 measures of barley for 1 shekel at the gate of Samaria." The equerry, on whose arm the king was leaning, retorted to Elisha, "Even if Yahweh made windows in the sky, could this word come true?" "You will see it with your own eyes," Elisha replied, "though you will eat none of it." Ooh. Which brings me again. Okay, so, is this going to happen exactly? Well, what comes to my mind right away? I'm going, I've seen some amazing things happening when there is a disaster or whatever. We had, okay, now what, a couple of years ago, just one of the most devastating floods. Hadn't happened in, 60 some years. And a lot of little communities here in our mountains, very close by where we were, nothing happened at our place because we're on the mountain. The water flows down. It doesn't matter how much it rains. Or there's no river. Nothing was able to rise and flood. And okay. But it was awful. It was devastating. And people just got, in the middle of the night, flash floods. People were washed away. Many drowned. Thankfully, many were found and rescued. Whole homes were just washed away. I mean, it was just a mess. It was a horrific mess. As soon as it was over, immediately people got together and got relief stuff together, this and that. I mean, it was just like this. Okay? Yes? Oh, wait a second. We are supposed to have relief programs here and from the government. As far as I know, we're paying towards certain things that then if there are disasters like this happening, you get help. The help from the government when it comes to stuff is so minuscule, and believe me, Walmart made a lot of money during that time. They didn't go down with the prices or anything. They didn't say, "Hey, we're going to make everything that's needed for the relief here for the people for at least 2 weeks half price." No, 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 no. They made sure that everything was always stocked for it. I'm just saying, okay? Well, that Walmart, they're rich enough, they could have, okay? Yeah, all right. Especially since the only Walmart there, right there for several little towns, right? Yes? So they're already making their money there, plenty. I'm just saying. And if people would have known, I guarantee you, people would have even more so. Okay, all right. But anyway, it was the people. It was private little organizations, this and that, and people the communities that would get together. Lots of churches, yes, that would get together, those communities, and make a lot of the relief and this and that happen. Right, yes. So, And that's my own personal experience right here, right, or where I live. Okay. Yes, I've seen that other places too, where things happen. People just immediately pulled together as volunteers. Whatever one had extra, we did the same in our family. Whatever we had extra, man, it went to people who needed it more at that time. So, yeah. Yes? So what's Elisha saying here? Yeah. It's the people. When the people come together, when there is a disaster going on, this, that, suddenly something touches their heart. Right? Yes? Interesting? And they pull together and they help each other out. And it doesn't matter who it is that needs it. Right? That's that unconditional love that suddenly comes forth. Yes? Yeah. Here, that king's just complaining. Elisha tells him, "You'll see this is what's going to happen, and you will have none of it. You will not be a part of it, even though that king has got how much? Still, no doubt. Huh? He's not sharing with his people." Well, anyway. The Aramean camp is found abandoned. Now at the entrance to the gate, for they were afflicted with virulent skin disease, there were 4 men, and they debated among themselves, "Why sit here waiting for death? If we decide to go into the city, what with the famine in it, we shall die there. If we stay where we are, we shall die just the same. Come on, let us go over to the Aramean camp. If they spare our lives, we live. If they kill us, well, then we die." So at dusk they set out and made for the Aramean camp. But when they reached the confines of the camp, there was not a soul there. For Yahweh had caused the Arameans in their camp to hear a noise of chariots and horses. Did they meet one of the Arameans who said so? Okay, right. The noise of a great army, and they had said to one another, "Listen, the king of Israel has hired the Hittite and Egyptian kings against us to attack us." So in the dusk they had made off and fled, abandoning their tents, their horses, and their donkeys. Leaving the camp just as it was, they had fled for their lives. The men with skin disease then reached the confines of the camp. They went into one of the tents and ate and drank, and from it carried off silver and gold and clothing. These they took and hid. Then they came back, and entering another tent, looted it too, and took and hid their booty. I find it interesting. So there's a famine going on in the city. People are dying. Here's this Aramean camp, army camp that these guys find, and it's there's no famine going on there. It looks like. Not only that, but the soldiers supposedly took off and left everything behind. So again, if they would have also been afflicted by that, the Arameans per se, then they would have at least packed up what was necessary to survive their trip back to Aramea or whatever, right? Yes? But they didn't do that. That's it. Such misery going on in some places, right? And such opulence right next to it. Hey. The siege at an end, the famine ceases. That's a funny story here. Then they said to one another, but one could also look at it and say, well, here they are. Okay, 4 of them, skin disease, virulent skin disease, which means they're probably lepers, okay? Was it a virulent one? Most people don't know that leprosy isn't always, most of the time actually isn't contagious. So, but anyway, so they weren't bothered, and even though they were afflicted with a pretty devastating disease, right? God kind of guided them towards that. Look, here you go, you guys. Right? You need a little comfort too. I'm just saying. God kind of works that way. The siege at the end, the famine ceases. Then they said to one another, "We are doing wrong. This is a day of good news. Yet we are holding our tongues. If we wait till morning, we shall certainly be punished. Come on, let us go and take the news to the palace." Off they went and shouted out to the guards on the city gate, "We have been to the Aramean camp. There was not a soul there, no sign of anyone, only tethered horses and tethered donkeys, and their tents just as they were." The gatekeeper shouted the news, which was reported inside the palace. "Oh, that's nice. Oh, you see, now they got," and they're going, "Oh, we need to go and tell someone. This is way too much for us anyway, and they're not there anymore." And then, okay, if the story is true and it really happened that way, these all 4 of them were good men, weren't they? Okay. Oh, that's good to know. They cared, even though most likely were so shunned by everyone else. They cared enough for everybody else. Okay. The king got up while it was still dark and said to his officers, "I can tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know we are starving, so they have left the camp to hide in the open country. They will come out of the city. They think we shall catch them alive and get into the city." One of his officers replied, 5 of the surviving horses still left us had better be taken. They would die in any case like all the rest. Let us send them and see. So they took 2 chariot teams, and the king sent them after the Aramean army, saying, "Go and see." They followed them as far as the Jordan, finding the whole way strewn with clothes and gear which the Arameans had thrown away in their panic. The scouts returned and informed the king. It seems like every king here is fears for his own life. It doesn't even... Okay, but there's how they go and scout. Whatever. Then the people went out and plundered the Aramean camp. A measure of finest flour sold for 1 shekel, and 2 measures of barley for 1 shekel, as Yahweh had promised they would. The king had detailed the equerry on whose arm he leaned, as commander of the guard on the gate. But the people trampled on him in the gateway, and he died, as the man of God had foretold when the king had come down to him. What Elisha had said to the king came true. 2 measures of barley will sell for 1 shekel, and a measure of finest flour for 1 shekel, by this time tomorrow at the gate of Samaria. What happened? The king had detailed the equerry on whose arm he leaned. As commander of the guard on the gate, but the people trampled on him in the gateway, and he died. Well, that's sad. Does anybody... I mean, people read this? Do they... I mean... Yeah, stampedes. And people become a stampede. I don't care at all. This is just terrible. Again. Okay, alright. And the equerry in question had replied to the man of God, even if Yahweh made windows in the sky, could this word come true? Oh, so he deserves to die. Okay, whatever. You will see it with your own eyes, Elisha had answered, though you will eat none of it. And that was what happened to him, for the people trampled on him in the gateway, and he died. Okay, whatever. Ugh, sheesh. Now, I think there's a difference between, again, I don't know this equerry, whatever that means. I don't know. Is he someone that constantly questioned God's or direction or whatever, kind of, right? Okay, so, well, time to do away with that guy, or he's run out of merit or something. Gets trampled to death by the people on their way out to the Aramean camp. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, if and like Thomas, someone is witness to a miracle per se, right? Yes? Well, would one not rather say, well, there you go, now you've seen that, so how do you feel about God now? Or how do you think you should go forward with your advice or what you're saying, and this and that? And the person gets a chance, right, to make amends. Isn't that kind of it? But here it seems like anytime anyone has anything to say, right? Rather than say, oh, you're gonna see that you're wrong, and at the same time you're gonna die as well. Okay, well, I don't know. It doesn't. It's kind of a short story. It doesn't explain enough on who that equerry was. It doesn't even have a name. It's again, the unbelievers will die, right? Yes. These stories are all so disjointed in a way too. They don't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, I guess again, like with the churches, that was what I talked about earlier about the Christianity in Europe is declining. That people don't believe in God anymore. That's not true. That's not true at all. I don't believe that for a second. Okay, number one. But it's like this. I'm not sure if one could call that fear mongering. And here, we read in 7 about this guy who says, yeah, well, we'll see if that will come true or not, well, it will come true, Elisha says, but you won't have none of it, right? Because he foresees the death of this guy. Okay. I don't know. It's just not God's way, in my opinion. None of it. I think the best is we're going towards a new year, right? Yes? I've seen so many posts. I hope that next year will be better. This was the worst year, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm going, man, you're almost afraid to go and say, I don't know sure what you're talking about. I made it through the whole year to start with. Yep, so can't speak for others when it comes to that. But as far as I'm concerned, and the people around me, everything else that I see out there, people doing pretty good. People doing pretty good. Yeah, And to call this the worst year, I don't know. I don't think so. Right? Yes. But do you want to tell people? Well, let me tell you about the great year that I had. Oh, did I have something to do with it? Making the year good as I can? Probably. Right? Yes. Well, anyway, so sad to see people so unappreciative of what there was good. Yes? Now we're going towards a new year. Again. Right? Yes? It'll be a good year too. Yes. There. It's amazing when you're sick. You get sick and well, if you're as old as I am, had a few colds, right? Yeah, and I don't go out. I know when I have a cold. I know they're not allergies. I know they're not this or that. It's a cold, okay? A nasty cold. Done, yeah. And so the first, right, you're getting sick. What to do, and you can't stop it. It's just going to happen. And then the first 2 or 3 days are just awful, right? Yes. But then you start to notice you're getting a little better, right? And a little better, right? And you're starting to get over it. Yes? It's amazing. It's amazing on how miserable one can be having a cold. But then when you realize you're starting to get better and how grateful one is, I'm going to be back on my feet pretty soon, right? Yes? Anyway. And then just be grateful, right? Yeah, okay, I got my other aches and pains, but I'm not having a nasty cold anymore. Right. All right. That's all I have to share today. Yes. Oh, I'm tired. Now I'm tired. That took a lot out of me. I'm on my 4th day. And, it's been great just relaxing here in my son's house. Yeah. He brings me everything I need to. Yes. Which is wonderful. Now I need to blow my nose again. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to y'all another time.